Aries, there are nights when you can almost feel your heart speaking to someone, even though they've been gone for a long time. No messages, no words, just an invisible current of energy still connecting two souls that never fully let go. And right now, the universe is preparing to bring that person back. Not to rekindle what once was, but to finally speak the truth that both of you have avoided for far too long. Welcome to a space of awakening where every word opens a doorway into the depth of your soul. I'm your companion on this healing journey. Take a deep breath, slow down, listen to the rhythm of your own heart. Because what's coming next isn't just a story, it's a whisper from destiny itself. And everything begins with silence. A silence that holds more meaning than 1,000 words ever could, in the stillness of a long night. When the moonlight fades gently over the rooftops and the world around you sinks into the quiet rhythm of sleep. Aries, have you ever felt that your heart was still speaking to a soul far away? No messages, no words, just a faint vibration like an echo from a memory that never truly ended. Some people step out of our lives, yet leave behind an invisible thread so fragile you'd think it's broken. And yet, every time your heart grows heavy, that thread begins to hum again, a melody of unfinished words, of a farewell never spoken. The silence between two souls can be frightening. We mistake it for an ending. But according to the laws of the universe, every empty space is only preparation. Just as the earth must crack for a seed to sprout, and winter must fade for spring to be born. Silence, through the lens of spiritual truth, is the sacred pause that allows destiny to rearrange itself. It's the stillness where two souls can finally see each other, with clearer eyes, with hearts no longer clouded by attachment. Aries, you are inside such a silence now. On the surface, everything seems calm, asleep, even, but deep beneath the energy, the universe is weaving a meeting far more meaningful than you can imagine. Someone is watching you from afar, not loudly, not reaching out, just existing on the same frequency. They carry in their heart a truth too heavy to hold, a confession pressed like stone against their chest. And perhaps your soul has already felt it, even if your mind keeps trying to deny it. Sometimes you see them in your dreams standing by a doorway just looking at you, saying nothing. Yet in that gaze, you can feel 1,000 words unspoken. Maybe that dream isn't random at all, but the universe's way of reminding you that spiritual connections never vanish simply because people stop talking. They live on, waiting for the moment of understanding, for the chance to be freed. This silence you're living through is not emptiness, it's transformation. It's the space where your soul learns to listen not to the world but to itself. And there you begin to understand not everyone who leaves is gone, and not every distance is separation. Some partings exist only so two souls can meet again, at a higher level of awareness. Silence is also a mirror. It reflects you back to yourself, your fears of being left behind, your longing to be seen, your hidden ache to be understood. And slowly it teaches you to release them. To find peace not by filling the silence, but by embracing it. Because when you stop fighting silence, it becomes your greatest teacher, showing you patience, faith, and the quiet strength of a calm heart. If you feel lonely in this season, trust that on the other side of the silence, another soul is learning the same lesson. Maybe they too lie awake at night, searching for meaning, listening to that invisible music that only two hearts can hear. And one day, when karma softens, when time ripens, you will meet again, not to repeat the past, but to finally speak the words that were left unsaid, to close a chapter that both of you have carried for far too long. Aries, this silence isn't the end. It's an invitation from the universe itself, asking you to turn inward, to heal, to listen, to prepare for the moment when truth arrives wrapped in light. When it does, it will illuminate the very place you thought had gone dark forever. If you've ever felt that invisible thread, share your story, because every story is a small candle, helping someone out there feel a little less alone on their journey. And within that silence, as your heart begins to open again, a new wave of energy is already on its way, quiet, gentle, but unstoppable. It carries with it a soul, bringing the truth that can no longer stay hidden. One quiet afternoon, The wind stood still, and the last light of day slipped gently through the window, as if it wanted to hold on just a little longer to the warmth resting on your shoulder. Aries, sometimes life sends us moments that no one can prepare for. A meeting unplanned, a glance that makes your heart forget its rhythm, a familiar voice rising from the crowd like an echo from the past. Someone who had been silent for years suddenly reappears in your life, not to start a new love story, but to finally say what they could no longer hide. They've spent countless nights like you wrestling with memories that never fully closed. Every word left unsaid, every unfinished embrace has become a weight they could no longer carry. They tried to forget, they tried to move on, but the farther they ran, the louder the truth called them back. And then, one day, the universe arranged it. Two souls crossing paths again, not in haste, but in the quiet ripeness of time. When they look into your eyes, you notice something different. It's not the same look that once hurt you. It's the light of a soul seeking forgiveness, wanting to be seen for the mistakes they finally admit. Their voice trembles, breaking at times, because some apologies take years of silence to find their way into words. I still think about you. I'm sorry. I never stopped loving you. Simple sentences, yet when spoken, they stir your whole inner world. Part of you still aches, but another part finally exhales. Because sometimes you don't need someone to come back to love you again. You just need them to come back and acknowledge that you once mattered. They're not asking for forgiveness. They just want to look at you this time without pretending. Because truth, even when it arrives late, is the only medicine that truly heals the soul. And in that moment, you understand. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the bravest act a heart can perform because it frees not only them but you too from the weight of the past. As you let go of resentment, the air around you changes. The room seems brighter. Even the wind sounds softer. Forgiveness doesn't erase memories, it turns them into lessons. And those lessons are the most precious gifts love ever leaves behind. Aries, if you've ever experienced a moment like this, you know that some reunions don't belong to the present. They belong to the journey of healing. They don't return to love again, but to close an unfinished promise. They may not stay, but they help you see the stronger, wiser version of yourself reflected back. Sometimes the universe doesn't send a past love to restart the story, but to see what you've learned from the pain. To witness that you can now smile at what once broke you, no longer asking why. Because the answer has been here all along, in the peace you now carry. If someone has ever come back just to say, I'm sorry, share that feeling. Perhaps your story will become a doorway for someone out there, someone lost, to find the light of compassion again. And when that door finally closes, you'll hear it deep within your heart, a soft sound barely there, the voice of intuition. Like the wind whispering through a window, it reminds you that everything happens for a reason. Because before they ever spoke the truth out loud, your soul, the oldest, quietest part of you, already knew it long ago. A quiet morning. The first rays of sunlight slip through the curtains and the world still feels half asleep. Aries, in that stillness, you sense something stirring inside you, so subtle yet unmistakably real. It isn't a thought. It isn't an emotion. It's something deeper, like a soft wave rising from the depths of your soul. Intuition, the voice of your spirit, something reason can't explain, yet your heart can't deny. Intuition arrives like breath, silent, effortless, touching your heart gently before dissolving into the air. It may come in a dream, where you see a face you haven't seen in years, or in a quiet afternoon, when an old song suddenly plays and your chest tightens just a little. No one says a word, but your heart knows something is coming closer. When your soul becomes still enough, that voice grows louder than ever. Buddha taught that when the mind is calm, wisdom appears. That wisdom doesn't come from study or experience, but from harmony between you and the universe. It's how the outer world mirrors the depths of your inner world. Every time you feel that intuitive pull, it's the universe sending a message, a whisper that you're on the right path, or that someone somewhere is still thinking of you. Aries, in the quietest of nights, when you lie still listening to your own breath, you'll realize your heart already knows what your mind cannot yet see. It knows a truth is about to be revealed. It knows a soul is on its way back, not to possess, but to complete what was left unfinished. Maybe you've doubted yourself, wondering, am I just imagining this? But then, everything around you begins to align, repeating numbers, a phrase you hear on the radio, a stranger's glance that stirs something familiar inside. Each one is a sign, a fragment of the larger picture your soul has already begun to perceive, long before it takes shape in the physical world. Modern life teaches us to trust logic more than the heart. We analyze, we measure, we predict. But we forget that the deepest wisdom doesn't live in the mind, it lives in stillness. Intuition never lies. It's only hidden beneath the noise of worry and fear. When you pause, breathe, and listen, you'll realize it was never gone, only waiting to be heard. Intuition is the small lantern that lights your way in the dark. It doesn't reveal the whole path, but it shines enough for you to take the next step. You may not know what lies ahead, but your soul knows you're being guided, protected. And that is enough to walk forward in peace. Aries, trust your intuition. It is the voice of a soul that has lived 1,000 lifetimes. It remembers what your human mind has forgotten. Every intuitive feeling is a piece of memory. A thread of promises, lessons, and karma is still weaving through time. Believe in it, for it is how you reconnect with the clearest, most awakened part of yourself. If you've ever dreamed of someone and woke up feeling like your heart had just received a sacred message, don't dismiss it as coincidence. See it as a greeting from the universe, gentle but full of love. Write it down or simply whisper, "I trust my intuition." When you do, you open the doorway between the visible and the invisible, between human knowing and soul understanding. And as the light within your heart begins to spread, you'll notice something miraculous. Every sign, every dream, every recurring pattern has been leading you toward one greater truth, a truth the universe has been quietly preparing you to face. Because, dear Aries, when that truth finally comes to light, you'll understand this connection didn't return to repeat itself, but to close the karmic circle, to free both souls, and to bring your heart to peace. People often believe that love has only two roles, the giver and the receiver. But in the journey of the soul, love is also the teacher. It comes to teach, and then quietly leaves when the lesson is complete. Aries, have you ever looked back at your old wounds and suddenly realized it was in those very places that you learned how to love more deeply, to understand yourself more clearly, and to grow beyond what one lifetime could teach? Some loves are like lightning in the dark, brilliant, wild, and fleeting. They don't come to stay. They come to illuminate the parts of you still hidden in shadow. That person may have made you cry, shaken your faith, or convinced you that you'd never open your heart again. But if you look closely, you'll see they didn't come to destroy you. They came to remind you of your strength, to teach you to say, enough, to show you how to love without losing yourself. In Buddhist philosophy, every soul is a teacher to another. Even the one who hurt you was unconsciously playing a sacred role, helping you face a lesson you once refused to see. Maybe it was a lesson about self-respect, about boundaries, or about walking away when love becomes pain. Or perhaps it was about compassion, the understanding that even those who err still deserve forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness means refusing to let the past hold your present hostage. When you forgive, you don't do it for them, you do it for yourself. Because resentment burns slowly. It consumes the soul from within. Compassion, however, is the water that cools the flame. In today's world, so many carry unhealed emotional wounds of broken relationships, apologies never spoken, anger with no place to rest. If each of us could see pain as a lesson instead of a punishment, how much softer, how much kinder this world would be. Aries, this love came to teach you that the true worth of a heart isn't measured by who holds it, but by how you protect it. Maybe you once loved so deeply that you forgot yourself. Maybe you bent too far to keep someone who had already left. But the moment you decided to stop, you passed the hardest test, the test of self-respect. And then one night, standing alone beneath a sky full of stars, you realized something beautiful. There are no winners or losers in love, only souls meeting at the right time to exchange lessons. Perhaps they must live with regret, that is their karma. You, on the other hand, get to live in peace, that is your reward for forgiveness. You don't need revenge. Karma has already done the work by letting them live with the weight of what was lost. Love was never wrong, it was simply not yet wise. And in walking through the darkness, you learn to become your own light. Think of everything you've lived through, and ask yourself, if those heartbreaks hadn't happened, would I be this strong, this aware, this capable of loving so fully today? Share in the comments what's the greatest lesson you've learned from the love that once hurt you most. Because maybe your story will be the light that guides someone else out of their darkness. And when you truly understand that everything happens for a reason, you'll feel a quiet relief within your soul, resentment replaced by silence, regret transformed into gratitude. That's when the universe knows your lesson is complete, and when the lesson closes, a new door opens, a door to an entirely new life, where Aries steps forward with a purified heart, and light begins to rise. From within, that morning wasn't like any other. The light was softer, not harsh, but clear, as if the universe itself had placed a gentle hand on your shoulder, whispering that something had changed. Aries, you've come so far, through loss, through heartbreak, through nights so long you thought you'd never make it through. And now, you're standing at the edge of a new beginning, where the past fades quietly behind you, and the future begins to glow with the promise of something real. You may not see it yet, but everything that happened was preparation. Every tear you shed, every fall you took and rose from, all of it was shaping a strength within you that you never knew you had. Time hasn't taken anything away from you, it's only helped you shed what no longer belonged. In Buddhist wisdom, it's said that no beginning is born without the death of a part of the self. When an old version of you dissolves, a brighter one is born. And that is exactly what's happening to you now. Aries, you've walked away from relationships that made you small, from thoughts that made you doubt your worth. You've learned to trust yourself, your path, and the unseen forces your soul can already feel so deeply. Maybe you've lost a person who once meant the world, a job that once defined your pride, or a dream that once burned brighter than anything else. But in return, you found something far more precious, yourself. The truest, strongest, calmest version of you. This moment, though imperfect, is real. Life's current is carrying you toward the places you once only dreamed of, but never dared to reach. It might be a new beginning in your career, a home that finally feels right, or simply a quiet peace in your heart after years of storm. When you exhale, you feel lighter. When you look ahead, the fear is gone, because deep down you know no matter what happens next, you'll be okay. Change is never easy, but it's always worth it. Just as winter cannot last forever, spring will come, and the flowers will bloom whether you believe it or not. Aries, you've shown more courage than most because you dared to begin again. You stepped into the light, knowing it would reveal every part of you you once tried to hide. Now, you no longer seek approval from others. You seek alignment within yourself. You've learned that happiness doesn't come from someone holding your hand. It comes from holding your own. No longer losing yourself in someone else. You're grateful for what ended because through every ending you were reborn into the truest meaning of the word alive. If you feel this within you, whisper it out loud. I am ready for my new chapter. Because when you say those words, you're not just speaking to the world, you're speaking to your soul, telling it that you're ready to receive the blessings the universe has been saving for you. You may not know exactly where the road ahead will lead, but you're walking it with an awakened heart. And that alone means the light is already shining beneath your feet. The wind stirs softly, carrying away the scent of something old fading and something new arriving. In that fragile moment, as you loosen your hold on the past, you hear a faint sound like destiny knocking at your door. A familiar soul is drawing near. And when the past returns, Aries, will your healed heart be willing to open that door once more? An autumn afternoon, sunlight drapes across the old streets like a thin veil over memory. Something slows you down, Aries. A feeling familiar yet strangely new lingers in your breath. And then suddenly a name lights up your screen. A voice you thought was lost to the wind returns. They're back. No warning, no reason, only the quiet gravity of their presence making the whole world pause for a heartbeat. When someone from the past reappears, it's never by chance. They return when the soul has completed its long circle, when they finally understand the value of what they once lost. But this time, Aries, you are not who you were. You no longer tremble. You no longer look for comfort in their eyes. You've walked the path of solitude, of healing, of learning to love yourself. And now you know true love is not about possession. It's about two souls coexisting in freedom. This encounter isn't destiny repeating itself. It's the soul's final test. They may say they still love you, that they've changed, that they want to start again. And maybe your heart still stirs when you hear those words. But unlike before, you don't rush to believe. You listen not with loneliness, but with intuition. You watch what they do, not what they promise. Because you've learned real love doesn't hurt, doesn't confine, and never asks you to shrink just to stay. In their eyes, you might still see what once made you fall. But in yours, there's a calm they've never witnessed before. Because now you understand, sometimes people come back not to love you again, but to show you how far you've come, to remind you what you truly deserve. And the moment you realize you no longer need them to feel whole, that's the moment you've won your greatest battle, the one within yourself. Love was never meant to be a battlefield. It's a meeting between two souls who know who they are, what brings them joy, and how to love without chains. If they return as a healed soul, you'll feel it. In the quiet peace between you, in the absence of games or pain. It will feel like cool water running through your heart, gentle, honest, true. But if they return as the same old storm, you'll know right away. A healed heart no longer craves chaos. It simply closes the door not from anger, but from gratitude. Gratitude that they came back to show you how much you've grown. That through them you learn to choose peace over drama, truth over illusion. Aries, this is no longer the story of unfinished love. It's the story of freedom. When you're strong enough to love without needing to own, mature enough to say thank you instead of please stay, you begin to live the truest meaning of love. Because love isn't about finding someone to fill your emptiness. It's about two whole souls meeting, and together, shining brighter. If someone from your past has ever come back, share how it made you feel. Maybe your story will help someone out there understand that sometimes coming back doesn't mean starting again, but rather a more complete, gentler goodbye. The sun is setting now, its light softening over the rooftops. A breeze drifts by, carrying the scent of a memory finally at rest. And in that tender moment, you realize the most sacred thing of all is approaching, not from the past, but from within your healed heart, where peace begins to bloom. Quietly, steadily, like the last light of day. When night falls, the world grows quiet, almost sacredly so. No more rushing wind, no more noise of busy lives. Only your breath and the slow, steady rhythm of your heart. Gentle, peaceful. Aries, you've walked a long road, from the days of pain when everything seemed to collapse, to the moments when you learned to rise again and to love yourself once more. Now, you no longer need to prove anything. You no longer reach back to what's gone. You no longer seek explanations for why it all unfolded the way it did. You simply breathe and smile, because finally you've understood peace was never something to be found outside of you. It was always within your soul. Letting go is not losing. It's coming home, back to the light inside you, where no resentment lives, no expectation clings, only gratitude remains. Everyone who has passed through your life, whether they brought love or pain, was a teacher, helping you see the hidden corners of yourself. When you choose to forgive, you don't change the past, you free the future. You open the door for light to pour in, allowing ease to replace heaviness, and compassion to heal the wounds that once lingered. In the teachings of the Buddha, it is said that when the mind is clear, suffering dissolves like morning mist beneath the sun. Forgiveness is a meditation, a way of seeing life through the eyes of love, because when you can be grateful even for what once hurt you, it means you've understood the essence of living. Everything happens for a reason, even if you don't yet see it. Aries, maybe you once asked, why must I go through so much pain? But now you know, the universe never punishes, it awakens. Every heartbreak was an invitation to live more truthfully, to shed an old layer of self, to return to the pure essence you've always been. And standing here now, without anger, without regret, only gratitude, you have touched the freedom of the soul, live with compassion. Your kindness carries more power than any words could. In a world that rushes endlessly, a heart full of gratitude and goodness is the rarest gift of all. When you choose love over hate, you send healing waves across the universe. So if your heart feels lighter tonight, write these words: I forgive and release with love. Let the universe hear it. Let your energy become the light, guiding lost hearts back home. One day when you look back, you'll smile not because everything was perfect, but because you made it through, with your heart still whole. You'll no longer wish to change anyone, no longer cling to anything. You'll simply wish to live gently, deeply, lightly, and that is the highest form of love, love that demands nothing, expects nothing, and simply is. Thank you, Aries, for walking this journey, the sacred path of brave souls, who know how to love, to lose, to forgive, and to come home to themselves. Wherever you are, no matter how life shifts around you, remember this: peace isn't waiting at the end of the road. It's right here, in every step you take today. Thank you, dear Aries, for walking this healing journey with me. May your heart be light, your path clear, and your soul always guided by love and truth.